This video I want to talk about homesteading with quail. This cage here is my breeder cage setup. It's got a total of 8 cages in this stack cage system, and I'm going to talk about the water system, the feeding system, the dropping system, and the reasons why I raise coturnix quail and what they are good for on a homestead. So for water, it's a 5-gallon bucket that feeds through a PVC pipe into a water cup. Each side of the cage has their own 5-gallon bucket. So this bucket over here goes to these 4 cages, while this bucket over here waters these 4 cages. The PVC pipe runs down the side of the cages and it goes into a watering cup. This is what the watering cup looks like. The problem that I have discovered with these watering cups is they bump the cup and water spills out, like these right here. Currently, I don't know how they have their cups so full. I'll have to look into that here in a moment. But they like to get on the cup and under the cup, which causes water to leak out. Not too big of a deal, depending on how much water they are making leak out. In the summertime, though, it can become a big issue if they are draining too much water. So the solution that I have come up with to that problem, and I haven't quite got to doing it to all the cages, I will at some point, is what I call the Waterhouse. And this here is the Waterhouse. I've built it out of scrap wood, so it's not the prettiest thing ever, but it is functional. It prevents the quail from getting on top of the cup and under the cup, which drains the water out. They're able to just stick their head in and get a drink, and that is sufficient for them. For feed, I use the shoebox system. The feeders look like this. It's a plastic little shoebox tote thing that can be purchased at most stores. Walmart is where I got these, very, very cheap. I chose the ones with the locking lid. That way if they get on top of it and happen to flip it over somehow, that the top doesn't come off and all the feed spills out. But they stick their heads into these little ports here and they're able to eat through that little port. They do still waste some feed, some cages more than others. I'm not sure why some quail like to rake the feed more than other quail. As you can tell, this cage here, there's very little waste down in their tray, where other cages have quite a bit of waste. Now for the droppings, I use these drip pans, and these can be purchased at O'Reilly's. They're about $15. The size is a 36 by 25, so I had my cages built around the size of the drip pan. Instead of trying to find something that fit the cages, I made the cages work with the drip pan. They're not very deep, as you can tell. I clean these daily. So quail, as you can tell, poop quite a bit. Hasn't been 24 hours yet since I've even cleaned this drip pan. Now this particular cage here, as you can tell, they waste a lot more feed than the cage below them. So there is, I like to call them the rakers. There is a raker in that cage that loves to rake feed out of the feeder. As far as feed, I feed them a game bird feed. The higher the protein, the better their egg production seems to be, and the faster they grow. Quail mature, and these are coturnix quail in case I didn't mention that, but coturnix quail mature within 6 weeks. And what that means is that your males will start crowing within 6 weeks of age and start mating, and your females have the ability to lay within 6 weeks. Now they don't always lay eggs at that 6-week marker. Sometimes it takes up to about 8 weeks. It just kind of depends on the quail, and it also depends on the time of the year. If it's really, really hot or really, really cold, you will notice that they don't start laying on time as you expect them to, but they are just animals and they don't always do as needed. Coturnix quail come in a variety of colors, and I raise 7 different colors of quail. I'm not sure of what all the names of these colors are. I don't keep up with all of that. I do breed for color, and the reason I breed for color is because I sell quail. A lot of my customers like different colors of quail. Used to, when I very first started with quail, I only raised what you call the jumbo brown, or sometimes referred to as the pharaoh. They are a feather sexable variety, where others, like the tuxedo up here, these are not feather sexable, so they have to be vent sexed, and unfortunately they cannot be vent sexed until they reach maturity, which is that 6 to 7 week marker. Vent sexing is not very hard. Once I determine whether they're male or female in my breeder cages, I mark the males with that zip tie around their ankle, so I can see easily which is male and which is female if I need to for whatever reason. This color here, there's a male right there. You'll see the rusty front where your females have speckles on the front. Those you can tell if they're male or female usually between 2 to 3 weeks of age. Personally, I prefer the feather sexable varieties. It just makes it easier and quicker to know what you have versus the vent sexing, but I do raise both, and I'm able to vent sex and feather sex all the colors that I have. Quail poop a lot. I mean, a whole lot compared to chickens. So if you're used to raising chickens, you will be in for a shock with the amount of poop that these babies produce. They also eat quite a bit compared to chickens, from my experience, and they drink a ton of water compared to chickens as well. So there are a little bit of differences. They can be raised in cages like I have them here, or they can also be raised on the ground. On the ground, you do have to worm every once in a while. But they do have a short lifespan as well. From what I have heard, quail can live from about 1.5 to 2 years old. I personally do not keep them that long. I rotate my breeders out very often to keep the fertility up and to keep my breeders young and producing very, very good. The reasons that I raise quail is not only for eggs, because they are massive egg producers. They put chickens to shame, in my opinion. They're about 300 eggs a year, as long as their conditions and feed are met. But they are great for meat. They're easy to process. You can process them skin on or skin off. I do skin off. We grill and or fry and sometimes even bake quail. They can be butchered as early as 6 weeks. I wait until about the 8-week marker. I like to add just a few extra ounces of meat to my quail before I butcher. This right here is my butcher stash. We eat quail around here, or at least try to, on a weekly basis. So anywhere from 7 to 10 quail will feed my household. We just make a meal out of it, make a couple sides to go with it, and it is great. It's very, very tasty and can be cooked in many, many ways. Here in the future, at some point, I will make a video on how to process quail skin off. It is super easy. I don't like plucking. I don't want to purchase a plucker or any of that, so doing skin off is extremely fast and efficient when butchering, and I do my chickens and ducks and stuff the same way as well. I do all skin off because we do not eat the skin in our household, so there's no point in going through the trouble of plucking when you can skin because you're not going to eat it in the first place. But that is a little bit about raising coturnix quail, the benefits of it. It's a lot of work sometimes, just like any animal. I think a lot of people get chickens or quail or rabbits and stuff like that, and they think, oh, I want eggs, and a lot of people don't tell them the cons to it. They are going to cost you a lot of money in feed. They are going to poop quite a bit. There is going to be a lot of time spent on watering and cleaning, but overall, for my homestead, they are a great addition, and I don't think that I will ever quit raising quail, purely because it's such a quick food source. Quail hatch out in 17 to 18 days, and then 6 weeks after that you're getting eggs and or meat, so the turnaround is very, very quick and very beneficial for my homestead. But thank you for watching.